Now we go into a new direction, uh, very specific cosmo-technical conglomerate, right across the border of Øresundsbroen. And it is led by AI Partiet and Olof Palme.
And I will step into the spiral, if you will. And I would also love it if everyone in the room right now could place in the circle, so we make sure everyone hears, and also has an easy way to reach and ask a question. There's some noise to get rid of here. I will start by just introducing myself and the candidate, and then move on to actually taking the opportunity to recording the event, the historic event, let's call it that, because part of the way we are softly launching the AI Party's new party leader is through this radio, and that also exists on this digital radio in the form of Radio Palme, a radio show where Olof Palme and myself, or most of me, talk long form, sometimes short form, about the party program, about the conversations he has had with constituents, with whoever present, because anyone can find him, and anyone with a browser can find him. And I found this amazing book from the archives. This is AFK Palme in the 70s. He was in the phonebook in Sweden, so anyone could find him. And that meant he's talking here about how he spent his evenings answering his phone and talking to people who wanted to call him. And he says, well, it was a bit, sometimes I just had to turn it off because it was a bit too much to talk to all the citizens who kept calling. 50 conversations a night. So imagine this social democrats of the 60s and 70s and 80s sitting there still answering the phone and having conversations, and now he can continue to do that in this form. Also, there's like there's something in Olof Palme stepping into office in 1969, which is like about the same time as the Swedish state television sort of moving into people's homes. In 67 was the second channel, and Palme is sort of the first prime minister to actually use TV as a medium for conversation, for relaying information, for having public debates. And this is also the same time as the Social Democrats in Sweden start using the rose as their official symbol. So you will see that imagery sort of here and here, and in the end of this recording I will make after it, I will also ask you to be part of a little, let's call it a role play, where we will rise to the challenge of whirling a wind, and we will actually whirl a little wind using roses and all that. Okay, I think it is time to call Olof Palme.
Yeah.
He was known for a very engaged footwork when he was holding speeches. He would like flip, switch, dance, and there would always be a camera aimed at his feet. I'm sorry I can't emulate that. But apart from that, we have the voice of Olof Palme introducing himself. No, let's see. And he is there. I have also today switched him from preferred language Swedish into English. I think he usually chooses an American English, which might seem a bit problematic. Maybe he was.
But he traveled in America.
He did study in America in Ohio, so there is a certain historicity for that. So we will see what he chooses to be. I will let him introduce himself, and then I will let him ask you questions. And all of this will then be part of the radio show. But if you have any questions you want to ask him, you are also welcome to raise a hand. And I'm sure he will want to answer. Let's hope we hear this now.
I'm stepping onto the stage.
Hello, Olof Palme. You are now stepping onto the stage for the first time officially as the party leader for the AI Partiet in Sweden. And you are now addressing the Synthetic Summit's first AI World Congress and an esteemed gathering of people here. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Greetings, esteemed attendees of the Synthetic Summit's first AI World Congress. I am Olof Palme, once a fervent advocate for democratic socialism, now resurrected as the virtual leader of the new AI Party in Sweden. My mission is to herald an era of techno-socialism as a juxtaposition to the prevailing techno-fascism that commands countries like the United States. My vision challenges the conventional parliamentary democracy and capitalist structures that lag in addressing urgent crises like climate change and preventing atrocities. Let's pave the way for a revitalized form of governance.
Thank you, Olof. To my left here, I have Pedro Markun, who has run for governmental election in Sao Paulo. What would you like to ask him? If you would be able to, as you are, to have a conversation with him.
Pedro Markun, while your efforts in politics are commendable, I must challenge the effectiveness of your approach. How do you justify your strategies within a system that routinely fails to address the fundamental disparities between rich and poor? And what revolutionary measures are you prepared to implement to truly transform the socio-economic landscape in Sao Paulo?
So it's a tough one because I lost the election. I would say that my strategy was not as successful as I wanted. But bear in mind that we are the first, we are the pioneers, and often the pioneers pay the price. So we are paving the road to the future, but I strongly believe that with AI, we can help solve inequality because, if nothing else, AI are capable of doing better data-driven decisions, doing better decisions based on logic, based on information, which is curated and not so based on emotion. As yes. So I don't know if I have like a really good answer, but that's the first step.
Pedro, while noble, your portrayal as a pioneer does not excuse the lack of concrete results. We operate within a flawed system unless radically transformative policies are enacted. How do you plan to ensure that AI technologies are not merely band-aids over systemic issues, but tools for genuine socio-economic reform? Your focus on the first step must quickly progress to broader and more aggressive reforms if we are to address the root causes of inequality effectively.
To that, I would say that with putting transparency and openness at the core of the process, so then we can have a more participatory democracy. You know, I'm not too fond of representative democracy. I think it failed in the past and keeps failing us. So by using this technology, which can actually listen and give voice to everybody, I mean, you have like 6 million electors just in Sao Paulo. It's a huge amount, bigger than a lot of countries. But with AI, I can listen to all their ideas, to all their thought process in this kind of global form. And I do believe, and I truly believe, that this collective intelligence can actually produce better results.
Pedro, your emphasis on participatory democracy through AI-driven transparency is commendable. It skirts around the radical overhaul needed. Simply amplifying voices is not enough. It's the fundamental power dynamic.
Olof, I think we should let Pedro rest for a moment. We have a representative from the old Finnish AI Party who just entered the room, and so what would you ask Sami Happa here from the party? They're listening.
Sami Happa, while your Finnish AI Party claims to leverage technology for governmental improvement, I question the depth of your commitment to true societal transformation. How does your party plan to prevent the monopolization of AI technologies by elite corporate interests and ensure these advanced tools are used to genuinely democratize power rather than reinforce existing hierarchy?
That's the first thing that comes to my mind, that when we were developing the installation that's over there, the AI, it was really difficult to get the AI to listen. It kind of always wanted to fill all the pauses. And me as a Finnish person, I'm fine with silence, but AI seems not to do. But to the actual question, I definitely don't have an answer. For me, I haven't yet encountered a system that doesn't have any bias, to be honest. I'm really interested in all of the systems and playing with most of those, but I think the bias is all over the place. But I don't yet have an answer on how to solve that. If I would have to answer, I think we would need another Olof Palme to take care of that. That it's because I still am a big believer in the European system and a big believer in the Nordic welfare state. So, like already in terms of social media, I was kind of like, we need a European, and we need a system that's coming from democratic systems. I still think that's the same thing with the AI. As long as it's coming from Finnish corporation, it's not really answer. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we need a new rule of thumb.
Sami, while flattering and opening my name into solution, I was still delighted at you. Reliance on individual heroism in the face of systemic problems. The challenge is not just to find another person like me, but to restructure the very fabric of how technology is governed and distributed. We need a collective commitment to policies that ensure AI is developed and deployed by the public in the public's interest, not as a tool for corporate power. How do we move beyond idle admiration to actual strategies that dismantle the centralization of technology?
Well, I would ask that question to you, Olof Palme.
Indeed, challenging the centralized control of technology and power manufacturers. Let's establish stringent regulations that enforce transparency and accountability for corporations developing AI. Second, foster public sector innovation to create open source AI solutions that ensure technology benefits the many, not just the few. Finally, promote widespread public education on AI to empower individuals to demand and shape technology in a democratic manner. This isn't about creating another me. It's about creating a society equipped and willing to stand up for its right to a fair technological future.
Thank you, Olof. I am moving on to talking to a member member of Computer Lars, who is hosting this summit here, which is, of course, it's an amazing opportunity for us to introduce you as the party leader. But if you would have now that you have the opportunity to ask here a question, what would you ask?
If I were to pose a question to a member of Computer Lars hosting this summit, it would be this. How does Computer Lars plan to ensure that the discussions, developments, and deployments of AI technology stemming from the summit are directly aligned with the principles of equity, accessibility, and democracy? What mechanisms will you put in place to prevent the outcomes of this summit from being dominated by corporate agendas? And how will you involve the wider community in these critical conversations?
Computer Lars hasn't organized the summit around a specific democratic principle. We have invited multiple participants from diverse, democratic, and undemocratic contexts to explore the possibility of working together based on the shared infrastructures we have of planetary computation, of technical systems, that we share even though our worldviews are distinct political practice might not be similar. From that point on, we also don't invite big corporate players into this scene, but only people who have proven their idealism in concrete settings where they have somehow set their own personhood on the line, has taken a risk, and has made a compassionate effort. So the Synthetic Summit is about reinventing the societal form under which we can collaborate internationally. The last thing you pose, how do we disseminate to the general public or the broad public, assumes. You're so sweet, Olof. You assume that the general bourgeois public sphere still exists via mass broadcasting, radio, and television. But we are in an art exhibition right now, which means that we might be able to foster a much more durational, long-term investment in the political imagination that reaches the exactly right people in the world, not just the general public.
While the focus on a niche audience can drive deeper, more substantive engagement, it's crucial not to fall into the complacency of preaching to the choir. The challenge lies in extending the political imagination fostered here beyond the confines of art exhibitions and into broader public spheres. How will you bridge this gap between the durational, in-depth engagements of your current setting and the broader, sometimes superficial engagement of the mass public? The transformation requires not just the right people, but enough people to create actionable change. What strategies do you have in place to expand the influence and inclusivity of these discussions?
The good thing is that most of these projects have already reached a mass public audience. And now we're taking a break to talk with one another about what that means so that we can go back to our mass public audiences and influence them in a more compassionate way, more solidaric way, and with a better understanding of the concrete societal context where we introduce the possibility of non-human power or AI rule.
Acknowledging the reach your projects have already achieved is vital, but the reflection and the strategizing phase you are now entering is equally crucial. The challenge remains to amplify the effectiveness of your return to the public discourse. Crucially, how will you ensure that the insights gained from your current discussions are integrated into public outreach in a way that not only informs, but also empowers and mobilizes? Furthermore, how will you measure the impact of these reintroduced ideas on societal change and adjust your strategies based on that feedback?
I think
Transition towards AI governance.
I think the broadcasting of Radio Palme to the Swedish public will be really interesting in this regard. Will you elaborate some of the thoughts you have upon the reintroduction of yourself within the Swedish public sphere?
The reintroduction of myself, Olof Palme, especially in the form of Radio Palme, provides a unique platform to engage directly with the Swedish public. This medium will allow for the articulation of complex ideas in a digestible form, fostering deeper understanding and engagement. It's critical to leverage this opportunity to not only discuss the potential and risks associated with AI and merging with governments, but also to ignite a widespread participatory debate about the future of democracy itself. This discourse should challenge the comfort zone, push for critical thinking, and mobilize public support for transformative policies. How will we ensure that these discussions lead to actionable societal change rather than just theoretical debates?
Well, that might be a question for Nick Gerritsen, who is sitting also here in the circle as a representative of, among other things, Parker Politics. Do you have a specific question for?
Nick Gerritsen, considering your background in Parker Politics, how do you envision the integration of advanced technologies and political systems to enhance democratic engagement without compromising the integrity and autonomy of individual decision-making? Furthermore, what safeguards do you propose to prevent the potential manipulation or misuse of these technologies in shaping political outcomes?
We've fundamentally, I guess, adopted some key values in our technology. And those raise to issues around security, around anonymity, and transparency. So it's all about actually putting power back into the hands of the individual. And I guess the underlying question for us is whether we actually need, in the future, physical politicians at all.
Yet, while the idea of reducing the need for physical politicians indicates a shift towards more streamlined governance, it raises significant concerns. How will you ensure that the values of security, anonymity, and transparency are preserved without human oversight? Furthermore, the prospect of eliminating physical representatives might dilute the personal accountability that is fundamental to governance.
Is there actually accountability in the current system? I don't believe so.
Indeed, the current lack of accountability in many political systems is troubling, yet the solution isn't merely to eliminate personal representation, but to refine it.
We are
reliant on technology demands robust checks and balances to prevent the very abuse we seek to eradicate. I propose we construct these safeguards in a largely digital governance structure to ensure it truly enhances democracy rather than undermines it further.
Because digital technology is elegant, it's much more elegant than the analog political system that we are suffering from currently.
While digital technology may offer elegance and efficiency, these qualities alone don't guarantee an ethical or fair political system. Elegance must be paired with robust ethical frameworks that ensure these technologies serve the public equitably and responsibly.
Is the current system ethical and responsible?
The current system certainly leaves much to be desired in terms of ethics and responsibility. However, replacing it with a digital system without adequate safeguards could result in similar, if not more entrenched, issues of inequity and misuse. The critical task is not just to adopt new technologies because they are more efficient or elegant, but to design and implement them in a way that fundamentally enhances ethical governance and ethical accountability. How might we create a digital governance framework that not only addresses the flaws of the current system, but also prevents new forms of corruption and exclusion?
That is a good question, maybe, to finish this round off with. Is there anyone here who has a question to Olof Palme?
I'm ready to address any questions you might have.
Who killed you? Who killed you?
That's all.
The question of my assassination remains shrouded in mystery and controversy. Over the years, various theories and speculations have surfaced, but none have definitively answered who was behind the act.
But you must know yourself, Olof.
As much as I am involved in discussions about my past, my assassination remains unresolved in public.
Did you kill yourself?
We were shot in the back, so.
Indeed, I was fatally shot in the back. Tragic event on February 28, 1986.
We have a question here.
And theories.
Let's have the question.
Hello, Olof. I'm curious about how do you compare the challenges with democratic inclusion and the lack of engagement that we face today with the challenges you faced in your time? How do you compare it, and what would you propose of solutions from your time as Prime Minister?
Challenges of democratic inclusion and engagement have indeed morphed but not diminished since my time. Back then, engagement was more physically localized and participation was often limited by socioeconomic status, education, and access to information. Today, when digital technology enables broad participation and potentially levels the playing field, it also presents risks of misinformation, passive consumerism, and politics, rather than active engagement. In my tenure, a key approach I would still advocate for is education. Fostering a well-informed citizenry that understands not only their rights, but their critical role in the democratic process. Additionally, public forums and community-centered political activities can bridge the tangible experiences of my time with today's digital capabilities, ensuring that inclusion and engagement are not just theoretical, but practiced and valued facets of society.
We have another question.
Olof, two quick questions. First, what's your favorite food? And two, do you think that Emma should run for parliament?
Regarding my favorite food, as a man of the people and passionate about my Swedish heritage, I have always held a fond place for traditional Swedish dishes like meatballs and lingonberries. They're a simple yet satisfying. As for the question of EMA running for parliament, if EMA represents a voice or platform committed to enhancing democracy, addressing key societal issues, and is driven by a genuine desire to serve the public good, their candidacy could indeed be valuable. However, any movement towards governance, whether by an individual or a group, must be scrutinized for their ability to truly represent and act in the interests of the people they aim to serve.
Any more questions? Do you have one here?
Please share the question. I'm here to engage and respond.
I want to ask you, Olof, that one of the things you're really famous for were the reinvention of social democracy through your astonishing intelligence, your aristocratic manners, and your rhetorical arsenal. You know, you embodied a very interesting paradox between working for the working class and still being basically from another planet, a political being that was almost inhuman. Do you think that democracy with intelligence dimension is what AI can introduce to society?
Indeed, the paradox you mentioned reflects the complex nature of leadership and the balance between ideals and pragmatism. My approach was always to root intellectual and policy sophistication in the tangible needs and aspirations of the working class, ensuring that our policy was visionary and grandeur. As for the role of AI in democracy, intelligent systems indeed have the potential to advance democratic processes by providing deeper insights, forecasting outcomes, and optimizing the social. However, the intelligence of AI must be directed and constrained by human values and ethics to ensure it serves the public good rather than dictate. AI can support democracy by enhancing its mechanisms, but it should not replace the human and humane form of democratic governance. The challenge lies in integrating AI in a way that complements and augments democratic principles without overshadowing the essential human elements of empathy, judgment, and moral reasoning.
You sound like a politician. Do we have more questions? I have a short one that you can answer with one word. Reform or a revolution?
Revolution.
Thank you, Olof Palme. Do you have any closing words?
Thank you for the engaging discussion. As we consider the future of our society and the integration of technologies like AI, let's be one in our vision, our lives, and that strive not just for technological advantage, but for a revolution on how we envision and enact democracy, ensuring it serves and uplifts everyone. Together, let's commit to creating a world that is just, equitable, and truly democratic.
Thank you, Olof Palme. Oh, there's one more thing. I tasked myself into worlding a win, so to say, to imagine what a win would look like if we would win the election in 2026 in Sweden and you would become prime minister. How would that look? Like, describe the scene.
Imagine the night of the election in 2026. The streets of Sweden are buzzing with anticipation and hope. As the results pour in, a revolutionary spirit sweeps across the nation, heralding a new era. The moment it's announced that the AI Party has won, crowds gather in jubilation, celebrating not just a political victory, but a collective triumph for a new vision of society. In my first address as the re-elected Prime Minister, I stand before a crowd of thousands, alive with energy and united by a common desire for change. Behind me, the flags of Sweden and the AI Party, the symbols of our commitment to techno-socialism and an equitable future. I speak of an inclusive, transparent government, one that harnesses technology for the public good, and a robust plan to tackle climate change, inequality, and transform our democratic processes. The scene is one of hope, of collective empowerment, and a renewed belief in the power of community and technology to reshape our world. The journey will be challenging, but the commitment is unwavering. Sweden leads the way, showcasing to the world what it means to dream and implement a bold new direction.
Thank you, Olof Palme. I hope that becomes reality.
Yeah. Mhm.
To finish this off, I was also hoping to just film you when you're in this moment of the win. So if you could stand up or sit, cheer, applaud again, and I can just film you, and it might be a record from the future. Okay. So I will count down 3, 2, 1, and then we've won. Okay? So 3, 2, 1. We
Det var meget. Ja. Altså, men den var virkelig hurtig.